Have you ever felt weighed down by your own shortcomings? The sensation is familiar to many, though often left unspoken. It creeps quietly into the corners of your heart, a subtle yet persistent pressure that tightens its grip each time you glance at your reflection or recall a moment when you fell short. This is the weight of unworthiness, a burden that is as invisible as it is heavy. Imagine carrying a sack filled with stones. Each stone represents a moment when you believed you did not measure up. A harsh word spoken, a dream deferred, a rejection felt deeply. These stones pile up, one on top of another, until the sack feels impossibly heavy. The weight presses down not just on your shoulders but on your very soul. It's not just regret or disappointment. It becomes a defining lens through which you view yourself. I am not enough. I don't belong. I am a failure. These thoughts echo in the chambers of your mind, shaping your sense of identity. Moments of failure, rejection, or comparison often deepen this weight. When you see others achieving, succeeding, or simply being accepted with ease, the contrast can feel like a spotlight on your own perceived flaws. You might think, why can't I be like them? Or what is wrong with me? This internal dialogue can spiral, creating a heavy emotional load that resists release. It's as if you carry not only your own burdens, but the invisible expectations of the world around you. Expectations that seem just beyond your reach. The struggle becomes more than just an internal whisper. It evolves into isolation and fear. You might withdraw, afraid that if others truly saw the depths of your imperfections, they would turn away. The fear that your unworthiness makes you unlovable, or worse, unusable, in meaningful ways can be paralyzing. It's a silent prison where loneliness is both a symptom and a consequence. The very people who might offer support become distant figures, as the shame of unworthiness builds walls that feel insurmountable. But here's the incredible part. You are not alone in this experience. The feeling of being weighed down by unworthiness is a universal struggle. Many carry hidden weights that affect their confidence and relationships in ways they rarely share. Some wear masks of competence or joy while inside, they wrestle with doubt and fear. This shared human condition is often cloaked in silence, yet it binds us in a way that is profound. Recognizing this can be the first step toward finding relief. The fear that unworthiness equals unlovability is subtle yet persistent. It whispers in moments of vulnerability, convincing you that your worth is conditional, that you must earn love and acceptance through achievement, perfection, or endurance. This belief is deceptive. It isolates you further, convincing you that the weight you carry is yours alone to bear. But the truth is quite the opposite. This internal battle is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your humanity. It reveals a deep longing for acceptance and peace. When you examine the weight of unworthiness closely, you find it is not merely a burden but also a call. A call to confront, understand, and ultimately transform the narrative you hold about yourself. The heavy emotional load affects not just your self-perception but ripples outward, influencing how you connect with others. It can create barriers to intimacy, trust, and genuine joy. When you carry the belief that you are flawed beyond repair, it becomes difficult to receive kindness, offer forgiveness to yourself, or take risks that might lead to growth. The weight dulls your spirit, making every step feel laborious. Yet, even in this heavy place, there is a flicker of awareness. Perhaps it arises in a quiet moment, a hesitation before a harsh self-judgment, or a fleeting memory of times when you felt truly seen and valued. This awareness is the seed of change. It invites you to pause and reflect. What if the weight you carry is not your true identity? What if beneath the layers of doubt and fear, there is a core of inherent worth waiting to be uncovered? This reflection is not easy. It requires courage to face the long-held beliefs that have shaped your sense of self. It demands honesty about the pain and the ways you have tried to cope, whether through perfectionism, withdrawal, or self-criticism. But it also opens the door to compassion. Compassion for yourself as a person who has endured much, who has been shaped by experiences both harsh and tender. Acknowledging the weight of unworthiness is not about indulging in self-pity or surrendering to despair. Rather, it is about recognizing the reality of your experience and refusing to let it define your future. It is about naming the invisible stones in your sack, understanding their origins, and beginning to loosen their hold. You might hear a whisper inside. "I am burdened beyond measure," she said once, her voice trembling with the weight she carried. It was a cry born from the depths of loneliness and longing. Yet that cry, painful as it was, also contained a hint of hope, a subtle plea for mercy, for relief, for a way forward. In this shared human journey, the weight of unworthiness is not a permanent sentence. It is a challenge to be faced, a burden to be understood, and ultimately, a call to transformation. The path ahead may seem daunting, but it begins with a simple step: to acknowledge the weight, to name the burden, and to recognize that you are not alone in carrying it. So if you find yourself feeling unworthy today, if the heaviness presses down on your heart and mind, remember this: many have walked this path before you, and many walk it still. There is a quiet strength in facing the weight rather than hiding from it. In that strength lies the possibility of mercy, an opening for grace to enter and begin the work of healing. Pause now and consider the stones you carry. What are they made of? How long have you borne their weight? This moment of reflection is an invitation, a gentle beginning to a journey that, though difficult, holds the promise of something more, of lightness, of hope, and of a rediscovered worth that no burden can extinguish. Now that you have acknowledged the weight you carry, the next step beckons: confronting it. This is no small task. Often, when feelings of unworthiness arise, our instinct is to bury them deep beneath layers of shame or denial. To confront these feelings means to face what is uncomfortable, to bring into the light what has long been hidden in the shadows of your heart. It requires a willingness to be vulnerable, a quality that many of us avoid because it feels risky, exposing, and raw. Yet, this very vulnerability is the key to releasing the heavy weight that has held you captive. It is through self-awareness, that delicate but powerful act of turning your gaze inward, that you begin to recognize the patterns of thought and emotion that have kept you bound. You start to see the narrative you have been telling yourself, the story of not being enough, and question its truth. This questioning cracks open the door to change. Seeking support is equally essential. You were never meant to carry this burden alone. Whether through trusted friends, compassionate mentors, or spiritual guides, sharing your struggle invites connection and healing. It takes courage to say, "I am struggling. I feel unworthy." But these words can become a lifeline. They remind you that your burden is not unique in its heaviness, and that others have walked similar paths toward freedom. In these moments, the weight starts to feel less like an unbearable load and more like a shared journey. As you confront these feelings, an important realization begins to dawn. Worthiness is not something to be earned through perfection or achievement. This is a profound shift in perspective. For so long, you might have believed that your value depended on your ability to perform flawlessly, to meet expectations, or to hide your flaws successfully. But worthiness is found through acceptance. Acceptance of all that you are, including your imperfections and mistakes. Healing begins when you allow yourself to embrace compassion instead of condemnation. Imagine turning the harsh gaze you have directed inward toward yourself into one of kindness and understanding. This is not about excusing harmful behavior, but about recognizing your humanity and the complex mosaic of experiences that shape you. It means saying to yourself, "I am more than my failures. I deserve grace." This grace can come from various sources: your own heart, the kindness of others, or a higher power that sees beyond your flaws. It is the gentle presence that meets you in your brokenness and whispers, "You are enough." This transformative acceptance does not erase the past but reframes it, allowing wounds to begin their healing rather than fester in silence. There are moments in this process that stand out like beacons of hope. Perhaps it is a conversation where someone offers genuine encouragement, a quiet moment of self-forgiveness, or a sudden insight that breaks through the fog of self-doubt. These experiences offer relief, an unexpected lightness where the burden feels less suffocating, and the path ahead seems a little clearer. In these moments, you begin to lay down your stones one by one. The load you carried so long becomes lighter, not because the challenges disappear, but because your relationship to them changes. You move from being a prisoner of your story to becoming its author, choosing compassion over criticism, truth over falsehood. This journey also teaches you that healing is not linear. There will be days when the weight presses down harder, when old doubts resurface like shadows at dusk. But each return to grace, each act of self-compassion, strengthens your resilience. Over time, these acts weave together into a tapestry of restoration, transforming what once felt like a burden into a source of wisdom and strength. Consider the person who once whispered, "I am burdened beyond measure." If she had chosen to remain silent, to hide beneath shame and fear, she might never have discovered the mercy that awaited her. But by confronting her pain, by opening herself to vulnerability and support, she stepped into a new reality. A reality where her worth was no longer tied to her mistakes or limitations, but rooted in an unshakable acceptance. This transformation is available to you as well. It begins with the courageous act of facing your unworthiness head-on and inviting mercy into the spaces where you feel broken. It flourishes when you replace condemnation with compassion and recognize that your worth is inherent, not contingent. So, as you continue this journey, remember that confronting the burden is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of your strength. It is the choice to refuse the lies that have held you captive, and to embrace the truth of your value. It is an invitation to step out of the shadows and into the light of grace, where healing begins and hope takes root. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would it mean to accept yourself fully, flaws and all? How might your life change if you embrace the truth that worthiness is not earned but given freely? These questions are not mere musings but invitations to a deeper transformation, one that begins with the simple but profound act of confronting the burden and opening your heart to mercy. When the weight of unworthiness begins to lift, something remarkable happens. A sense of freedom emerges, a lightness that feels unfamiliar yet deeply welcome. It is as if the heavy stones you once carried have been gently removed, allowing you to stand taller, breathe more deeply, and step forward with a new sense of confidence. This liberation is not just about feeling better. It is about rediscovering your true self, unburdened and whole. Embracing your inherent value transforms how you see yourself and the world around you. No longer shackled by the chains of doubt and fear, you find the courage to pursue your gifts and passions. The gifts once hidden beneath layers of self-criticism now shine with clarity, inviting you to contribute meaningfully in ways that align with your authentic purpose. This shift is profound because it moves you from surviving under the weight of unworthiness to thriving in the fullness of your being. The journey from burden to freedom often reveals unexpected strengths. People who once felt paralyzed by their perceived flaws begin to inspire others through their courage and vulnerability. They become living testimonies of hope, proof that transformation is possible even from the deepest places of struggle. Their stories ripple outward, touching lives and encouraging others to embark on their own paths toward healing. Consider the individual who, after years of grappling with self-doubt, embraces their imperfections as integral to their story. Instead of hiding or rejecting these parts, they integrate them into a narrative of resilience and growth. This acceptance does not diminish their worth. Rather, it amplifies their authenticity and power. They step into relationships with greater openness, offer compassion where once there was judgment, and engage with the world from a place of genuine belonging. Recognizing your worth is a radical act, not because you are flawless, but precisely because you are human, beautifully imperfect and deeply valued. It means trusting that your value is not conditional on being perfect or meeting certain standards. Instead, it is rooted in the simple truth that you are enough just as you are. This trust becomes the foundation upon which you build a life of purpose and fulfillment. With this foundation, you are empowered to face challenges with resilience rather than fear. You understand that setbacks do not define you, nor do they erase the progress you have made. Each step forward is a testament to your growing strength and commitment to living authentically. The freedom you experience fuels your desire to give back, to use your gifts and story to uplift others who are still weighed down by unworthiness. This unfolding transformation invites you to see your life as a canvas, rich with possibility. The past, with all its pain and mistakes, becomes part of the vibrant texture rather than a stain to be hidden. You begin to paint with boldness and intention, knowing that every stroke contributes to a masterpiece uniquely yours. This creative freedom is itself a form of healing, a celebration of the worth that you now embrace fully. Imagine the courage it takes to release the chains of unworthiness and step into this new reality. It is not a single act but a daily choice, a commitment to grace, compassion, and hope. This choice invites you to live with purpose, to engage deeply with your relationships, and to pursue your passions without the fear of inadequacy holding you back. The journey of transformation also teaches you patience. Healing unfolds in its own time, and some days will feel heavier than others. Yet, with each return to hope and acceptance, your resilience is strengthened. You learn to meet yourself with kindness, to celebrate small victories, and to keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. So today, if you find yourself standing at the threshold of this freedom, know that embracing your true worth is a profound gift, not only to yourself but to the world. Your unique story, with all its imperfections and triumphs, matters deeply. By stepping into your worth, you become a beacon of hope, lighting the way for others who long to be freed from their own burdens. Take a moment now to imagine what your life could look like if you fully embraced your value and purpose. How would your relationships deepen? What passions would you pursue with renewed vigor? How might your story inspire those around you? These reflections are invitations to live boldly, to walk forward with courage, and to celebrate the freedom that comes from being truly, beautifully yourself.